Well, if you never heard of this series, I'm surprised you've never heard of this series. And if you have, well, you know what to expect. This is Ayakashi-Samurai Horror Tales. And this 11 episode series has only 3 stories. Yotsuya Kaidan, Tenshu Monogatari, and Bake Neko. They all have a different theme of horror. And I'm going to run straight through them as best as I can because this is all done in 11 episodes. 2 are done in 4 parts, while the last one is done in 3 parts. So the first one is Yotsuya Kaidan, and loosely it means Yotsuya Ghost Story. Now, to be perfectly honest, I've seen a movie a while back. I've seen a few movies a while back. I saw one called Kaidan, which is Ghost Story. It's an old film, and it's in Japanese, and it told, I believe, 4 vignettes. I can't remember all too well, but it's like a little anthology. It's a little anthology film of ghost stories. This one, of course, is based off an actual tale that most people try to remake, or try to make it as close as they can to the actual story. Yotsuya Kaidan tells of a tale of an ambitious samurai by the name of Tamiya Ieamon. Now, since he was that of a Ronin, or Ronin, he served no master, but he wanted the finer things in life. He come across a girl by the name of Oiwa, and slowly they got involved with one another, and they eventually got married. Now, as time progressed, they both bared a child. One, that's it, a child. And Oiwa enjoyed the married life. She enjoyed having, a family. Ieamon, however, wanted more, and since he was in the throes of poverty, he wanted more. So he came across a neighbor, a rich man, and for what promise that they had, the rich man offered, Ieamon the chance to marry her. And he thought about it. He said, well, he wanted the prestige, he wanted, the riches and everything, and his life could be secured. But in order for him to do that, he has to off his wife, the wife he has now. He has to off her. So technically, he pays he paid somebody to do the deed with her against her will. And of course, the the neighbor had something to do with that too because they gave her some tea, some herbs, some really foul herbs. And what this foul herb did to her was it messed with her. It slowly just messed with her face, and namely her hair started falling out, and it was just horrible. So after his friend had done the deed, and mind you, this is after they had a child. After the child, she grew weaker, and after that, she couldn't really do much. So there's that. Um, after which, after his quote unquote friend had her way with her, and after having done such a thing, Oiwa died of pretty much a broken heart. She wasn't loved anymore. She was she was really devastated that she was once loved by a man who promised the world, and he wasn't a good man. So in this case, she came back a very vengeful spirit, along with their child, because if the child doesn't, she doesn't live. Why should the child? If she doesn't live without the person she quote unquote loves, why should the child live? So both of them died, and of course she was pinned against a door. I mean, physically pinned against a door, and her body was thrown across a river, and therefore she came back as a vengeful spirit. Oh, and the story is told by the actual playwriter himself, Namboku the Fourth. So, so that's really interesting. So, as a vengeful spirit, Oiwa just placed a curse upon Iemon and those who are associated with him. So, after having taken care of his family, then he takes care of his new wife by possessing her, and he accidentally killed her out of madness and insanity. And sadly, Ieamon was put out of his misery as well, since he too was technically mad and out of it, mad personally. So with that, Oiwa's vengeful spirit was avenged because of what happened. The actual story, I'm not going to even go into the actual story, but I can tell you, when people try to do this story, there have been many things that happen. Like, the story is really like Ju-on, okay? There's a curse behind it, a grudge, because of this vengeful spirit, and the way and nobody can tell how the story could be made because of that happening. So there's that. Honestly, though, it's a sad tale. It really is. It's a tale of betrayal. Well, first it was love, then it was betrayal, and of course infidelity. So there's that. So that and redemption. So it was all about this one woman actually being avenged and redeemed for that slight misfortune in her life. Now we move to the second one called Tenshu Monogatari. To put it point blank, it's a forbidden love story between a human and a yokai. This young falconer by the name of Tsushinosuke, he's out with his lord one day, and the falcon manages to fly off somewhere. Now this falcon flies off to this castle far to the north, unaware that this castle was that of a ghost castle. Yet during the day, you couldn't tell it was a ghost castle. So therefore, there's this princess by the name of Tomi. And in a case like this, Tomihime. It means Princess Tomi. So therefore, Tomihime went out, and she was looking for a falcon. The same falcon that Tsushinosuke was looking for. Well, the two met under a slight circumstance. And slowly they fell for each other. So the second went by. I mean, one moment we got the next, and days passed, and they were meeting under more of a normal circumstance. He's grown fond of her, enthralled with her, and slowly grown to love her. Yet the two couldn't be together because of one thing. She's part of the yokai, and he's part of he's human, she's yokai. I'll say it like that. And the one thing that he gave her was, I believe, some candy. And like I said, it's a taboo to be it's a taboo for a yokai and a human to be together. It's like demon and human can't get along because of that fact. She's from one race, he's from another race. The two can't coexist. Quote unquote can't coexist. And because if they run across a mortal, the yokai, if a yokai runs across a mortal, then they will slowly become mortal themselves because they're in the human world. So therefore, being part of the human world, you slowly get to lose your powers. So, in this case, time progressed, war broke loose, and the party was sent out. The party was wiped out because of the yokai. Tsushinosuke went ahead to find Tomihime. He did, and he decided to stay with her as the castle was slowly falling. So he decided that, humanity is corrupt anyway, in this case, because during the feudal era, warlords wanted power and they wanted to take any any region, any land they can find and call it their own. So therefore, in this case, Tsushinosuke gave up his humanity and became one of the yokai just for her sake. Because since he loved her that much, he was willing to give up his humanity. It's a beautiful story, and to that I have to say, you can't that's a love that goes beyond all recognition. I mean, it's a love that goes beyond all recognition, all understanding, and for that to be a horror tale, yeah, that's one of those horror tales that is hauntingly beautiful. It's hauntingly beautiful just because of that. The third one I have to say is it's somewhat like Phoenix Wright because since it's the last one, it only lasts for like 3 parts. And the last one is called Bake Neko, or Cat Goblin, or Cat Ghost. And all I'd say about that is, it's basically a tale about redemption, revenge, and all coming down to the truth, the motive, and the truth, the motive, which leads to the resolve of the entire tale. It's about a cat goblin who's taking revenge against a house, a certain house, and this house was so prominent, yet yet they did some dirty dealings in the past. And all I can think about when I saw this was the the cat story in Tales from the Dark Side of the movie, in which there was a cat who took vengeance out on an old man, and the old man sent out a hitman just to get rid of his cat because of the same thing. The cat was once loved by an innocent person. Well, the sad thing is this innocent person passed away, and the rest wanted to get rid of this cat. It's the same thing here. Innocent person took care of this cat, and even though this person was locked up, it basically fed it until fed it and took care of it until it got strong enough so that it can protect the person that was being taken care of. Well, sad thing is the person in speaking was a captive princess, and she was raped and beaten to death, and the only thing the cat can do is run because, well, against a samurai, yeah, no in hell the cat can take down a samurai. So, even though the cat was taken down, its spirit came back as like a poltergeist and a very vengeful spirit. Because technically, the very house that was going to have its I believe a wedding is the very house that he's taking its revenge out on. So therefore, the peddler, by the way, who wanted to know the truth behind why this cat was this cat demon was going after this household. And the funny thing is that this household was shitting themselves in worry and fear because of what they did and what they can try to remember. Because one person at a time, start to remember the whole grim and gruesome detail of what happened. So eventually, it was taken down. The peddler understood the story, and it pitied the cat spirit. I mean, he had pity for the cat spirit, I should say. And he exorcised it. And he had nothing more to do with this house because it did some nasty things in the past, and he took his business elsewhere. But as he left, he stopped for a moment, and he saw the same cat. The very same cat that was spoken in story, and it has a new owner. And after that, he smiled and carried on his business and went on his way. Now, about this series in itself, I have to say, if you want a good story, this is one of those stories that can get you. Because of the way they're told and everything, the way they're fleshed out. I can guarantee you, I mean, it's not for everyone, but if you try it for yourself, you might like it. And considering that there's so many things that can happen in a ghost story. Most ghost stories are about, tales of woe and redemption and revenge. So, if you're into that, I guarantee you, just look at this, just watch it for yourself, and give the show its fair airtime to at least try to amuse you, at least try to get you to feel something for the character. The characters, that are like, how should I say this? Wanting, they wanted to close some doors and whatnot. The ones that were cheated compared to the ones that doing the cheating. But I believe this is the halfway mark on our list, and hopefully we can actually finish this thing. So next on the list is number 6, and number 6 is a very dark series in which could be considered maybe a horror anime and maybe not a horror anime. Depends on which version you're looking at. So stay tuned, more of retro reviews, my retro reviews, or my reviews, my retro anime reviews after this.